catalyst, thanks to Shark, which was really nice to have them donate that for us to use as a feedback form prize. Also, you'll notice the lack of registration bags this year due to COVID and a lot of those government restrictions. We decided to avoid manhandling a lot of content and sticking it in a bag. It saved us a lot of time and effort as well, considering we tried to jam everything into one day. Our forum sponsors, Coca-Cola South Pacific, WWF Australia, of course, partners with the Great Barrier Reef Foundation, which is the perfect segue into our first speaker today. Barrier Reef Foundation were given the task of getting the funding from the government out to initiatives like this one. Many different controversies that surrounded some in the day, but we have come to now what we want to focus on, the present to the future. An irrigation farm on the Downs provides our first life on the land and to its people. And agricultural sector most of his working life, including leading on behalf of irrigators the review to local management of 4 Queensland Channel irrigation and the Australian Government. Please make him feel warmly welcome Townsville as he makes his way from the back of the room. Robert Speed.
Thanks, Kim. Morning, everyone. It's the most grand introduction I've ever been given, so I'll try and live up by saying how pleased we're trying to achieve at the foundation and what Project Catalyst is trying to achieve. And so the 4 I just wanted to touch on was, firstly about being really ownership, and we're very much focused on making sure we can demonstrate real outcomes at the end of that. Now, we've all seen plenty of grants programs in the past that have really been focused mostly about getting money out the door. We're not we're interested in the final outcome and recognise very much what Catalyst is about. The second part of the philosophy to, I guess, we much recognise that we keep doing things the way that we're doing. I say that in the context of how we invest money, how we try and address, the water challenge that we're trying to look at for the reef. That doing what we're doing at the moment is not getting us. We won't achieve the sort of targets that science has set for us if we keep going about business the way we are. And I guess with delivery provider, and that's why we work with so many great partners. I think we're up to about 70 under the Water Quality Program, 70 different organisations who are funded under the Reef Trust Partnership who are working on the ground. The final and most, the point that's probably closest to my heart is the importance in the way we're investing is to make sure that we're achieving sustainable outcomes and outcomes that are supported by the community, because we recognise that there's no point investing in any sort of change if it's not going to endure, and the change that is going to work is one for the people on the land. That any of the sort of improvements we're looking at need not be better for the reef, but also need to be financially for the landholder. We need to see productivity and profitability outcomes as well as water. Those sort of principles are embedded then through, I'm going to touch very briefly, many of you will be familiar with what we're doing, some much more so than others. Funding that we have, that we've committed under for water quality, so of the 200 million, about 160 million of it is going out directly into on-ground projects. There's about $22 million invested in Plain Creek and Pioneer. There's about 20 million in the lower Burdekin. There's a $16 million program in the Herbert that just commenced on the ground prior to Christmas. And in all of those, we've got a suite of projects, and so there's opportunities for growers to be involved in those projects, and they're also, though, facilitated and coordinated on the ground locally by local organisations. Not only the projects, but the programs as a whole are supported by a local program manager and coordinator. And so here in the lower Burdekin, here in Townsville, that's enquiring Wet Tropics. Up in the Herbert, that's Herbert cane growers and reef catchments down in the... as I say, these programs are focused on trying to build, but there's further work that's being implemented by Catchment Solutions, which is looking at rolling out its broader adoption strategy. So taking a whole lot of the ideas that have been tested and proved, trying to send them out to a broader suite of growers. The thing I wanted to touch on was just to give a brief overview of our program. So as I say, the majority of the funding is rolling out into more conventional on-ground projects, albeit trying to do those in a better way and a smarter way, and to draw in, the best of what we know. We have a $10 million program separate to that, though, which is solely focused on innovation. So trying to come up with the new ideas, the new ways of doing things. Projects are now up and running. We've got about 22. We think about innovation, new approaches, for more precise use of herbicides. Again, working here an sort of for landholders about what strategies might lead to help make better decisions around irrigation. There's a pharmacist project, again, we'll hear about this afternoon, looking to develop some of the examples of another one there is further fertiliser trial has been undertaking. So there's some more work being invested in that, and included in that is some assessments, so that at the end of it we'll have a tool that can help people better understand where there's best value from using enhanced efficiency fertilisers, so which the regions based on soil type and so on, where we'll get the best sort of outcomes from those. Second theme is around innovative financing, and this theme is about trying to develop ideas for how we can get more funding into water quality improvement, and how we can generate greater incentives for people, including landholders, to make changes that will deliver water quality outcomes. And so this includes a project through CSIRO and Peter Thorburn, which is further trialling work he's been doing about developing a nitrogen insurance take out to ensure less fertiliser. On reduce all the... That's the idea of it, is to say fertiliser to get you one of the years, and in that particular year when insurance would pay you very attractive foundation to basically say we'll pay the cost of that insurance. They don't have to pay for it. They can most years, and in those side that's covered through the insurance. So looking more at a financing area, which is and return young would-be farmers who'd like to take over a farm, but who barriers as a result of capital, the cost of purchase, maybe don't know quite how to do those two up. Addition that works for both. Would want to see that as a part of that transition, an improvement in practices, which I guess you'd often expect with a you know, a new generation, a younger generation coming in, to have that drive better water quality or better information around the landscape to help us, but which is yet to, we think there is a real, yet to, as a way to allow growers to access their data